Namo Buddhaya. Welcome back to Monks in the Morning from Colombo Dhamma Friends of Mahamevnawa. We're so happy that you could tune in today. It's wonderful to get to spend time with all of you. We know that most of you don't get the chance to go to a monastery every day and talk with the monks, so this is a very special opportunity that we have. It's amazing, isn't it, that not only are we fortunate to be born in the human world, but we're also alive in a time that the Supreme Buddha's teachings are still available to us. This doesn't always happen in this long round of samsara. You know, most of the kids around the world don't have the chance to learn the Buddha's instructions, but now you get to learn right from the beginning of your life, so your wisdom will develop very deeply as you train in the Buddha's teachings. When we collect good karma by practicing the Buddha's instructions, we'll often share merit with heavenly beings, and we may even have the wish that all heavenly beings protect the Dhamma and those who practice this Dhamma. Well, one of you was curious if, when our relatives are reborn in the heavenly worlds, if they can come back and help us in this life. So I invited one of the venerable monks to give an answer. I think you'll be really interested in what he shares with us. We'll also recite the dependent origination stanzas, so get your chanting book ready or click on the show notes link to download or read along online. Now let's take the refuges and the precepts.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Saṅghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi saṅghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi saṅghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Say after me, I observe the precept of abstaining from killing beings. I observe the precept of abstaining from stealing. I observe the precept of abstaining from sexual misconduct. I observe the precept of abstaining from telling lies. I observe the precept of abstaining from taking. intoxicating drinks and drugs, with the refuge of the noble triple gem. I observe these precepts for happiness in this life, for rebirth in heaven, to escape from the sufferings of samsara. May it help me. May it be a blessing. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Namo Buddhaya. Dear children, today we will be discussing a question that we have received from one of our students in the New Zealand Dhamma school. This is the question. If one of your family members is in heaven, can they help their family members that are still in the human world? For an example, my grandmother is in heaven and the rest of her family members are humans. Can she help us if we are sick or hurt? So this is the question. So what do you think, children? If your relatives, once they have passed away from this life, and say if they are reborn in the heavenly worlds, can they help you when you are in trouble or when you are sick? Well, this is very unlikely, because in heavenly worlds they have a very long lifespan. In the human world, we would live at most for 100 or maybe 110 years. Most die at the age of 70 or 80. But that is not the case in the heavenly worlds. The lowest heavenly world is Chatum Maharajika. Even in the Chatum Maharajika, they have a very long lifespan. When 50 years elapse in the human world, it is just one day in the Chatum Maharajika. And 30 such divine days is 1 month. And 12 such divine months is 1 divine year. And they live for such 500 divine years. And if you do the maths, you arrive at 9 million calendar years in the human world. So they have a long lifespan. And say if your relative is born in Chatum Maharajika, when one day elapses in that heavenly world for your relative, if you are 15 years old, then you have grown older by 50 years, then you are 65. When 2 days elapse for your relative in the Chatum Maharajika, then it is 100 years in the human world, and you would have died by that time. And your relative, when he is reborn in the heavenly world, he would not once realize where I came from, because he is infatuated by all the luxuries of the heavenly world. Now think of yourself. Now, do you recall your past life? No, you don't know where you came from, whether you came from heaven, whether you came from hell, the ghost world, the animal world. You can't remember. But devas, they can recall. But still, once you are born in the heavenly world, you are infatuated and overwhelmed by all the luxuries there, all the happiness, the joy you can experience, and you experience all that joy. After all, it is heaven. So, you would not even think of a past life or recall because of that infatuation. But when you do come to your sense and recall what are the good deeds I did in the past life to have this rebirth and all that, that family that you would have known in the past life, they no longer exist, because within 2 days it's 100 years, and no longer that family is not in the human world anymore. They too have passed away. So that is how things are. So it is very unlikely that your relative, in this case maybe grandma, mother, anyone who has born in the heavenly world can help you. But there is a case where, say, if they are born as earth-dwelling deva, close to the human world, then they don't have a long lifespan as such. So they might recall the past life, and they are likely to recall the past life, and they would have a connection and would want to help you when you are in trouble. But still they can't directly intervene with your life, but they can show you and guide you and help you indirectly so you can sort out your troubles. But still, even they cannot help you get healthy. That is the inherent quality, inherent nature of the human body. That is why Buddha called aging, sickness, death is sorrow, lamentation. There are a lot of suffering in this world. We just have to realize this suffering by practicing the teachings of the Buddha. That's all we can do. Even the Buddhas, they only saw the way. We have to diligently practice and achieve the benefits of the teachings. We can't and we shouldn't hope for someone else's intervention, someone else's aid to purify our life, to purify the mind and practice the teachings. Rather, we should focus ourselves on our practice and have faith in the Triple Gem and growing confidence in the Triple Gem. And there is a case that you should also know in the suttas. There was a king, or rather landlord, by the name Payasi. He had this wrong view. He thought there is no life after this life. There is no next life. There is no such thing as a spontaneous rebirth. You know what spontaneous rebirth is? Devas, ghosts, hell worlds, they are born spontaneously, not in a mother's womb like you were born. So that is spontaneous birth. So he didn't believe in spontaneous birth. And also, he didn't believe there are good and bad consequences of your deeds in karma. He did not believe. So once he approached Kumara Kassapa, Arahant Kumara Kassapa, and he said, look, I have this belief, I have this belief. I don't believe in these heavenly worlds, ghost worlds. There is good deeds have good results, bad deeds have bad consequences. I don't believe in this, he said. Then Arahant Kumara Kassapa asked, why Payasi, why don't you believe? Then he said, look, I have seen people who have lived good, righteous lives, virtuous lives, and when they are in their deathbed, when they are about to pass away, I have gone to them and said, look, you have lived a good life, you have lived a righteous life. Now you are sure to being born in heaven after death. So once you are born in heaven, come to me and tell me of that heavenly world. If you can't come, still at least send a messenger, said Payasi. But to this day, Venerable Arahant Kumara Kassapa, to this day no one has come to me and told that, look, I was born in the heavenly world. And there is actually heavenly world. So I don't believe in heavenly worlds. So that's what he said. Then Arahant Kumara Kassapa, he said, look, now say you as the landlord, you order a person who is in a cesspit, who has fallen in cesspit, take him out of the cesspit, wash him, dry him, and shampoo him, and make him clean him up, and give him the best garments you can find, all the luxuries a person could ever hope for, and a good mansion for him to stay. And say now this person, he is cleaned up and is given all these luxuries, and now he dwells in a huge mansion with everything he would ever need, happiness, the luxuries, the comforts. And say Payasi, now you tell him, now you go back and jump in the cesspit. Would he be willing to do that? Go jump back again in the cesspit where he was so filthy and foul? No. In the same way, said Arahant Kumara Kassapa, once you are born in the heaven world, it's like living with all these luxuries in huge heavenly mansions. And then you look at the human world, people living in the human world, it's like a cesspit. Because for the Devas, we are very filthy and foul. We stink and they don't want to come and interact with us, associate with us. So it is very unlikely when a person is born in the heavenly world, then they would want to come and interact with the human world, humans. But there is one thing they do respect, that is the qualities we practice as humans. Because there are instances when devas have, even Godsak have come to ascetics who have been practicing for long years and they don't bathe regularly and they stink, but they have come and paid their respect without paying any heed to the stench or the filth, because they respect the qualities. And there is an instance when Godsak, Godsak, he is the ruler of both the Thatu Maharajika and the Tavatins heavenly world. Once before he went on a trip on his chariot, he worshipped in the direction of the earth. Then his charioteer, Deva Matali, he asked Godsak, to whom are you paying respect? All the Devas in Chatu Maharajika and Tavatins venerate and respect you, but still you are worshipping the humans. To whom do you worship? Then Godsak said, I worship the monks of the Buddhist monastic order and also the lay disciples who practice the teachings of the Buddha, who has gone for refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, and who live by the precepts and also observe the 8 precepts on Poya days. So you see that Devas, they respect and they protect ones who practice the teachings of the Buddha. So what we should also do is live by the teachings of the Buddha. Then surely, whether it is our relatives or not, we will have the protection and help of the Devas in our spiritual journey. So that's how you should understand this whole question about whether or not your relatives can help you once they are reborn in the heavenly worlds. Namo Buddhaya.
Paritta chanting. Paticca Samuppada. Arising and cessation of causality. Turn to page 153 in your chanting books. Now we're going to recite some very special teachings from the Supreme Buddha. It's the exact knowledge that he gained on the night of his enlightenment that allowed him to understand how this cycle of samsara worked. And most importantly, this knowledge allowed him to put an end to the cycle of birth and death. It allowed him to share this special knowledge with others so they could also escape from samsara and attain nibbana. It ends with 2 verses he recited on that same night. Now we'll chant in Pali and English.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Avijja paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya viññānaṁ, viññāna paccaya nama rūpaṁ, nama rūpa paccaya salayatanaṁ, salayatana paccaya bhasso, bhassa paccaya vedana, vedana paccaya tanha, tanha paccaya upadānaṁ, upadāna paccaya bhavo, bhava paccaya jati, jati paccaya jara maranaṁ, soka parideva, dukkha domana supayasa, sambhavanti. Evametassa kevalassa dukkha khandassa samudayo hoti. Dependent on ignorance arises formations. Dependent on formations
arises consciousness, dependent on consciousness, arises mentality, materiality, dependent on mentality, materiality, arise the six sense bases, dependent on the six sense bases, arises contact, dependent on contact, arises feeling, dependent on feeling, arises craving, dependent on craving, arises clinging, dependent on clinging, arises the arranging of karma, dependent on the arranging of karma, arises birth, dependent on birth, arises aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. Thus there is the rising of this whole mass of suffering. Avidyāyatveva asesa viraga nirodha, sankhara nirodho, sankhara nirodha, viññāna nirodho, viññāna nirodha, nama rupa nirodho, nama rupa nirodha, salayatana nirodho, salayatana nirodha, bhassa nirodho, bhassa nirodha, vedana nirodho, vedana nirodha, tanha nirodho, tanha nirodha, upadana nirodho, upadana nirodha, bhava nirodho, bhava nirodha, jati nirodho, jati nirodha, jara maranang soka parideva, dukkha domanasupayasa nirujjanti, eva metassa kevalassa, dukkha khandhassa nirodho hoti. Through the entire cessation of ignorance, formations cease. Through the cessation of formations, consciousness ceases. Through the cessation of consciousness, mentality, materiality ceases. Through the cessation of mentality, materiality, the six sense spaces cease. Through the cessation of the six sense bases, contact ceases. Through the cessation of contact, feeling ceases. Through the cessation of feeling, craving ceases. Through the cessation of craving, clinging ceases. Through the cessation of clinging, the arranging of karma ceases. Through the cessation of the arranging of karma, birth ceases. Through the cessation of birth, aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair ceases. Thus there is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. Aneka jati sansarang, sandha vissang anibbisang, grahakarakang gavesanto, Dukkha jati punappunang. Through many a birth, I wandered in sansara, seeking but not finding the builder of this house called suffering. Suffering indeed is to be born again and again. Grahakaraka dittosi punage hangnaka hasi sabbate pasukha bhagga grahakutang visankitang visankhara gatang cittang tanhanang khaya majjagati. O house builder, you are now seen. You can build no house again. Broke all the rafters. I smashed the ridgepole of the house. My mind has attained the unconditioned. Achieved is the end of craving. Etena saccena suvatti hotu. By this truth, may there be well-being. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
I'm so happy that we were able to spend time together today. We hope that you learned something new, and we really hope that you can use what you learned as you go about the rest of your day. We've collected lots of very powerful good karma into our lives today, even in this short amount of time. And when we do that, we like for others to be happy thinking about these actions. So may our teacher Lokaswayamhamsa, may all heavenly beings, may our parents, our teachers, our relatives, our friends, may they all have a happy mind remembering these wholesome actions, and through the power of this rejoicing, through the power of this merit, may they all soon experience for themselves the supreme bliss of Nibbana in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya.